Well, we're here. NBA season 2021-22 campaign kicking off tonight, starting with the Bucks and the Nets at 7:30, followed up by the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. We're back. And I guess you can consider this season 2 of Keepin It 94 if you want to do it like that. But what's up, guys? Spencer Davies, Brian Fritz, back with you yet again for another episode as a part of the basketballnews.com podcast network. We got some things to talk about today. You know, just a little ho-hum situation going on there in Philadelphia. We will also be providing some predictions, not unlike every other podcast and show has done. But we kind of have to do it because, you know, things are starting off now. You know, NBA basketball's back.
The only difference is ours are the only ones that count. They're the only ones that you should care about, matter. You know, it's just listen to us. We're the real professionals that know what we're talking about.
We're the real experts around here, aren't we?
Right. It's just like, just put all the teams up on the wall and throw a dart, you know, at some point.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt with my Eastern Conference predictions. And I will be going through those with you step by step, as will Brian. But again, thanks for joining us, guys. If you have any comments, have any questions, please put them in wherever you're watching, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, please. We are more than welcome for any kind of feedback or suggestions throughout this show. So I guess we can just kind of kick it off here. I know that you, Brian, have been very eager to share the comments and the fallout from, I guess not even just today, but yesterday, even with Ben Simmons reporting to practice and training camp. He's been there the last week or so after he showed up uninvited on an airplane and at their doorstep. So it's already gotten a little bit uglier there with the 76er situation. So I know you're dying to share those details. So please go ahead.
Well, I am, but at the same time, we have tried to avoid talking about Ben Simmons as much as possible because it's been an overwhelming topic, but you can't get away from it. And you really can't now, because like you said, he showed up with the team. The best part was that, like, he came to Philadelphia and they didn't even know it. Do you think he went to the team facility and his key card didn't work and they had to call security to let him in? Or look, how exactly did that work? You know? So it's already been a super awkward situation. And then we saw him, you know, as part of practice on Monday. And the weird thing is I don't know exactly what he did in practice, and I'm sure the media wasn't allowed to be there for the entire practice, but the footage we did see of Ben, there were no teammates near him. He was wearing sweats and he had his phone in his pocket. Okay, so it's already like super weird on top of everything else that's going on. And then we had what happened today here on Tuesday, in that he gets kicked out of practice by Doc Rivers. Doc says he wasn't engaging with the team. I guess they were doing some light work. And then when it came to ramp it up, Ben wanted no part of it. And Doc said, get out of here, and threw him out. And Doc has since said that he will be welcomed back and he can rejoin the team on Thursday for practice, but he's been suspended for their opener against the Pelicans. Who would have even known if he was even going to play in this game on Wednesday night? But it's just taken the situation that much further into the craziness. And now you've got guys there that have to be, you know, that have to talk about this. Not just Doc, but, you know, Joel Embiid as the captain of the team is going to talk about it. And Joel is honest to a fault. I mean, he will flat out tell you this. And, you know, he's been asked about this all day, and he had some very quotable quotes, shall we say, including, at this point, I don't care about the man, honestly. He does whatever he wants. You had these beauties where he said, I'm trying to win, and to win, you have to have that relationship with your teammates. I do have that relationship with all of my teammates, but at the end of the day, our job is not to babysit somebody. We get paid to produce in the court, go out, play hard with some games, win some games, and that's what we get paid for. We don't get paid to come out here and try to babysit somebody. So that's not our job, and I'm sure my teammates feel that way. We're really just focused on winning and playing as a team. So he's basically saying, I don't know the guy, anymore. I mean, plus Embiid has said that they haven't even talked since Ben has rejoined the team. So they haven't talked. He doesn't have a relationship with them anymore. He's like, do whatever you want, and says, we're not here to babysit you. That does not sound like a situation that's going to resolve itself anytime soon and in a positive way. We all kind of thought this anyway, but when Ben reported to the Sixers, we wondered, is he just reporting to report? Will he actually play in games? What is going on here? And I think we have our answer, because I don't see any way where he can play with this team. I don't know exactly if they can just keep him away or what. And it's obvious too, from Ben's standpoint, the only reason that he went and reported is just so he doesn't get fined. He wants his money. Now, he's already been fined a chunk. I know that ESPN reported the Sixers have fined Ben $1.4 million for missing his 4 preseason games. And they've also levied numerous team fines for missed practices, on-court workouts, and meetings. So, he's going to lose out on some money, or already has, but he's trying to protect the rest of it. And that's what it's about at this point. And we thought the situation was going to get ugly, and now we're at that point where now it is really getting ugly.
Yeah. And with no time to spare too, regular season starting off, got some things to work out. And I was dying actually laughing earlier in our Slack channel. Ethan said that Ben Simmons' misbehavior was the anti-Jimmy Butler practice.
That's a good way to put it.
Because it was so, kind of nonchalant, saying, oh, yeah, he wasn't engaged. It was nothing like crazy, like taking third stringers and going ahead and beating 2 of the top players on the team on the opposite end. But the Ben Simmons stuff, it's pretty wild. Not so much unpredictable at this point, but still the fact that it's happened this quickly. I mean, we saw him yesterday, in practice, we, kind of going through the motions, watching guys, go through drills, and he went through some, there was some video of him participating in said drills. A lot of people thought that it was his phone in his pocket. It was, I guess it was actually a practice jersey, but that's not to the point. It's more about,
I misspoke. Okay.
No, yeah, but it's more about how, I mean, again, how engaged, how much you got to do a job. You got to do your job, man. I mean,
he didn't look like he wanted to be there. He was just going through the motions.
Yeah, you got to do your job. But
here's the thing I wonder about him too. Like, even if he was going to play for the Sixers, or say he got traded tomorrow, like, where's his head at when it comes to playing anywhere this season? How long is that going to take to get situated? Is he in shape? Is he in basketball shape? There's a lot of different things that go into this. I mean, it's just an absolute mess. And we can all sit here and say, well, why didn't the Sixers let it get to this point? Why didn't they trade him early in the offseason? And I think there's plenty of blame to go around. And when I say blame from the Sixers point, I would say it from the framework of they have an asset and they want to try to get the most for the asset if they're going to trade him, because Ben is a very good player. Now, did they misplay that? You can obviously make that argument. But when it comes to the other side and Ben's camp, I think there's been a lot of things that have been misplayed, including the way that he's behaving right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, like before, like it sounds like we're just going at Ben. I'm not, unaware of the fact that the Sixers put themselves in this position as well. So it's double at fault here. And I think that all parties involved really screwed the pooch here. But
I'll go with Ben though.
Yeah.
I'll go with him because he's a big baby. You can sit here and talk about, like, I want to get out of the situation. It's not good for me. Okay. From the standpoint, I don't fit here. They tried to trade me, all these different things. Time for me to find a new home. Fine. But you've got to be a professional about it. And I wonder what kind of hit this gives his reputation, because we all saw what happened in the playoffs last year, and people already had questions about, did he check out? Did he quit the playoffs? All these different things. Right. And then now we see what's going on in his behavior. If I look at him and I'm just another franchise, I'm like, okay, do I really want this guy? I mean, will it all just magically turn around once he's out of that situation and he's here? And if I'm a fan base, I sit there and go, okay, there was already a lot of question marks about this guy on the court, as talented as he is. But when it comes down to crunch time and is he going to get better, things like that. And then I see this kind of behavior. I don't know if I want that guy anywhere near my team.
Yeah. And it doesn't help his own case, as we mentioned before. But
if they would have listened to me and just traded him to the Kings, like I said, for Buddy Hield, for Halliburton, I mean, this would all be done. Okay. I've been talking about this for 3 months now, 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about this subject for what seems like 5 months, Brian. And that's why on our last episode, we referred to this man as who must not be named. But he must be named today because he was majorly in news. And I got that update actually while I was at Cleveland Clinic Courts today. We had a little bit of a reaction from Colin Sexton regarding the Cavs being unable to come to agreement with his representation on a rookie extension. The report from Chris Fedor was that Colin was looking for something around the $100 million area over 5 years. And it seems that the Cavs were not willing to meet that number. So the situation goes as is. He will enter restricted free agency after this season. And the Cavs can match any offer sheet that comes his way. This is not necessarily goodbye for Colin Sexton in Cleveland, as some may think so. There are not many teams with cap space. And plus, the way that I look at it as well is Jared Allen was not signed to a rookie contract extension when he was a part in Brooklyn. He did get traded. So that's also, that's not off the table. Colin Sexton, could end up getting traded if the pieces don't fit the way that JB Bickerstaff and his coaching staff believe he'll fit with this new philosophy with the playing 3 7-footers on the floor, seeing where Isaac Okoro fits in all this, if maybe he's more of a natural 2 than a 3. So that could definitely happen. But if Colin Sexton does play for this team the whole way, then I would not rule out them not bring him back because, they're able to match any offer. Colin's going to be betting on himself, as he should. But we'll see who's actually, willing to shell out that money depending on what his production looks like this year.
So the number was basically around 20 per is what he was looking for.
Yeah, which I think is more than fair on that end, by the way. Yeah, I considered him somewhere around 24 to 25 based on the production of his numbers. Yeah.
Because that's what we had talked about before, and that's kind of where I valued him at. And it's funny that they said they wouldn't even go to 20.
Yeah, no, that's what the report out there is saying. I can't confirm or deny that, but clearly they're kind of hitching their wagon onto Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, Isaac Okoro again, somebody who's trying to find his role in this team, especially, now you bring in all these outside pieces, which I think will help. I think that will help their win total this year. As I mentioned earlier on Evan Sidery's Nothing But Bets podcast. That was his first show, by the way. Go check that out, basketballnews.com. But I think that bringing in vets like Ricky Rubio, pairing him with Kevin Love on the bench, that was one of their better lineups in the preseason. I think you have a certain amount of voices who have experience. They're still young, but who have experience, like Jared Allen and Lauri Markkanen, both 4-year guys going into their 5th year, but they're in their early 20s. Like, you don't find that very often other places. And then you think about the young guys, the young core that they've established together, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton. These are players who have experiences now. Like, they're not necessarily like exposed to the real rigors, of the NBA as a winning team yet, but they've kind of gone through the gutter a little bit. And what's different about this Cavs team, at least in my eyes, is that there's a little continuity now. coaching staff's pretty much the same, aside from Lindsey Gottlieb going over to USC women's team, bringing in Sydney Lowe from the Detroit Pistons. Shuffling out Nate Reinking from Canton and putting Dan Giroux down with the Cleveland Charge now. I think that continuity and a certain sense of identity is something that they're going to be looking for here early on, which is not easy with the schedule that they have. 8 out of the first 11 on the road, going on a West Coast road trip starting, after this weekend. It's not the NBA doing them any favors by any means. But we were talking about the Cavs win total being set around 27.5, 28.5. And, I think that they could get an over on that. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs or be in the play-in tournament, but I think they could be in contention for that 10th spot, which I think is what they should aim for.
And the feeling that I get too is that while they didn't come to a contract extension, tell me if I'm wrong from the feeling that you get, but they worked towards trying to find a deal. There wasn't one there, but I don't think the two sides are too angry with one another. It feels like this was business. We tried to work it out. It didn't work out.
Yeah. If you look at what Colin said today in his expression, it said he's not going to change his approach. He's not going to leave his teammates hanging. He's worked too hard, with the core of guys that he has for the past, 3 years, 4 years, to build something here. And now there's finally a little bit of optimism around this team. At least internally there is optimism. And he's not going to, let this situation affect that. And JB Bickerstaff's right. I mean, Colin Sexton isn't the type of personality to, cause a fuss. I know that there are reports out there to the contrary. The anonymous scout coming out and calling him a bad name, which, by the way, I think was completely unprofessional, cowardly to do that anonymously. But I think that this could be beneficial for all parties too, because the Cavs, just thinking from their perspective, if Darius Garland takes the leap that people think he's going to take this year, if Evan Mobley is this franchise cornerstone that they're thinking about, then they do have to wonder how much money they can shell out. And plus, going out and getting Larry Markkinen, 4 years, $67 million deal, that the money's starting to pile up. Jared Allen's making $100 million over the next 5 years, which I think will look like an okay contract, by the way. Once the TV deal, comes in and salaries boost up again. But no, yeah, that's a good way to look at it, I think. And Bickerstaff says too, all parties involved will be happy if Colin and if all the young guys can impact winning. And that was pretty much the message on his end. But I did want to bring in another point too, though, unless you did have something to comment.
No, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to bring up another guy who didn't get extended yesterday, was the number 1 overall pick in the same draft class. Deandre Ayton was not given or an extension to his liking. I believe the report out there was that he was looking for 5 years, 172. And the other report is that the Suns wouldn't give him more than 3 or 4 years of that maximum money. We'll see who's bluffing and who's really telling the truth here. But fact of the matter is, Deandre Ayton is a restricted free agent after this season if he's still a part of the team. And that's something to keep an eye on. The Suns just got to the finals. All the goodwill that was put towards this, him sacrificing for the team and really starring in his role while putting his individual success and individual numbers to the side, results in this. I think it leaves a little sour taste in the mouth. And Mikal Bridges said as much. You could look at on basketballnews.com. Evan Sider, he did a good job of rounding up the quotes from Coach Williams and Mikal Bridges on the situation. But overall, really interesting choice not to do so. And a little anecdote here is Anthony Bennett's the only number 1 pick since, I think, 2008 to not get a rookie max extension in that fourth year.
I feel like that situation is a little bit different than what we got from Sexton, from the standpoint that the two sides are angry, especially when it comes from
Yeah.
Ayton, towards the team. It doesn't mean that it's going to affect his play on the court or anything like that. But I think the way that he looked at it is, look at everybody else in this draft class. I was the number 1 overall pick. You took me ahead of Luka. You took me ahead of some other very good players. And I have delivered. We went to the NBA finals. And like you said, he has sacrificed different portions of his game, but he's done so to become a better player too, not only to fit what the team needs. This is the kind of player that he needs to be. And I look at it as, I think it's a little bit short-sighted from the Suns. And I know some people say like, oh, this is just Robert Sarver being cheap. And I don't think it really is. I think this is the franchise when it comes to the ownership and the front office looking at him and saying, I don't think he's a max player. I that's the way that I look at it more. There's been some talk and they don't even know like if the Suns really approached him and said, we'll do 3-year max or 4 years max. I guess it was an idea that was kind of bantied around, in the front office. I don't know if it was ever really offered to him. But the way that I look at it though is if you wanted to give him the max for 5 years, I would say it's a pretty good deal from the standpoint of TV money is going up. You lock this guy in at 5 years and he's only 22 years old. He's only 22.
Yeah. So,
by the end of this deal, it could look, very, very good. Now I know that, the front office came out today and we're talking about like, one of the other, parts of this deal. They did an interview with The Athletic and, the talk was, if they had given him this deal, then he couldn't be designated a certain way to trade. Sorry, I'm trying to look it up while I'm doing this. But so it says there's one element here that hasn't been discussed. If they gave Ayton the designated rookie extension like they did Devin Booker, that move would have limited their ability to pursue stars on other teams who have already been given designated rookie max deals, because part of the collective bargaining agreement says that teams can't have more than 2 players on designated rookie max extensions.
There you go.
So that's one of the reasons why they did not want to do it either. But I think it also goes back to the point that you made about this offseason, because I think the way that the Suns look at this is going, hey, we don't know if you're a max guy, but there's not many teams that have cap space this offseason. If somebody wants to offer you a max deal this coming offseason, we can just match it. So no harm, no foul from that standpoint. Like somebody wants to tie up their money for a couple of days, then we'll just match it. If not, we'll offer you an extension that will be short of the max, or maybe by this time next year, it will be the max, but they can go through this whole thing again. It's just that Ayton wanted to get this tied up now. He wanted this done now. And instead it's going to drag on to next offseason and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's definitely a situation too. Like you said, not quite the same amount of disappointment with Colin than there is with Deandre Ayton. And you could just tell by the jersey where yesterday he was wearing an Alfred Payton jersey. Pay Ayton.
Oh man. And Ayton refused to speak with the media today.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
No. Well, in other words,
I mean, listen to this.
More time to get his thoughts together.
Listen to this though. I mean, Mikal Bridges, 4 years, $90 million, got paid. Landry Shamet, 4 years, $43 million, just got to the team. So
I don't think they're being cheap. I think they're sitting there and they're trying to weigh the situation.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Who else is going to give this guy a max?
I think Ayton takes exception to that. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too, because he looks at the rest of that draft class and going, wait a second. Like Luka's gotten paid. Some other guys got paid. I was the number 1 overall pick. And I've been to the NBA finals. These guys haven't been to the finals.
When was the last time? I'm thinking. So Miles Bridges didn't get one. Yeah. We know that Marvin Bagley didn't get one. Colin Sexton didn't get one. Ayton didn't get one. Is there anyone else that I'm missing?
Mo Bamba didn't get one.
Mo didn't get one, but hey, we're still riding the Mo Bamba train here. I like what I saw out of Mo in the preseason and at the end of last year. You can go back into the archives of Keepin It 94 if you really want to hear that.
That's why this season has
okay.
been dubbed Mo season, Mo Bamba. It's all about the Mo.
It's all about the Mo.
That's all the magic I'm riding on them this year.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't missing any other major non-extensions.
No. Herder got paid.
Herder did get paid 4 years, $65 million.
Grayson Allen got a 2-year, $20 million extension. Malcolm Brogdon in a very interesting move.
Yeah, this one has nothing to do with any of the rookie extensions. It was just an extension. It was like came out of nowhere.
He didn't even get a raise. Like, I think he has 2 years left on his deal right now, and he got 2 more tacked on for $45 million. So 22.5 per. It was basically the same amount of money he was making or right around that. So he has said, I'll take the money right now, which is interesting because being a point guard, and you look at the market for point guard around the NBA, and there's a lot of money being thrown at point guards, but he said, I'll take this offer right now and just tack it on to, my current deal.
There you go.
And he cannot be traded this year. He cannot be traded this year now. He's locked in.
So anybody that was floating over Simmons to the Sixers or Simmons to the Pacers and Brogdon, even though the reports out there are saying that the Sixers were not interested in a Brogdon package, which I have no idea why they wouldn't be, but you could kill those. You can kill those.
He'll be traded to the Lakers for Westbrook. No kidding.
Whoa. Getting juicy. Well, actually, Russ and Joel do not like each other from what I remember. So,
no, I'd say he'd be traded to the Pacers for Brogdon.
Oh! I thought you said Ben.
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay, gotcha. No, Brogdon can't go anywhere.
I'm kidding. That move can't happen.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Okay. Did we talk about enough drama? Is there any more drama left?
I mean,
what other drama we got?
Well, we're going to talk about our predictions and everything for the season, but the only other drama that's left is Kyrie. Well, there's 2 pieces of drama, but we can start talking about this now because this will lead us into our predictions because the Nets are, the favorites, the gambling wise, to win the NBA championship. That those odds changed just a little bit now because of Kyrie's situation in that he will not be with the team. He is not going to he wasn't going to be allowed to play for home games because of the rules in New York City, and he is not vaccinated. And now the team has said, you're not going to play with us on the road either until you get vaccinated. And they just felt like it was too much of a distraction and it was going to be weird them playing on the road and not playing at home. And they said, we're going to let this, play out, see where it is. Now, by the way, I mean, Kyrie can do what he wants to do. Okay. I get this. And he's not anti-vax, but tell me if you think this is a little bit weird, because I've always found this a little bit weird around this situation. And Kyrie, let's just say he's a deep thinker. I mean, he thinks, I think he's a very smart guy, but he thinks about things in ways that we don't always think about. But his reasoning behind this is because he wants to stand up for other people that don't want to get vaccinated and are losing their jobs. People that are in jobs, they say their employer says, if you do not get vaccinated, you cannot be employed here anymore. And he's trying to stand up for, those people that are put in that situation and don't want to be in that situation, right? Has he really come out and expressed this other than just kind of nonchalantly, kind of said it? There hasn't been like, I'm going to get in front of the media and I'm going to explicitly point out, this is why I am doing this. This is why I am taking this stance. And it's not because I'm anti-vax. It's because I am making a point and I'm standing up for other people. Like, you have to dig deep to understand this, because it was something like he said in passing. And I was just like, just say it then, express it.
And I think the way that he did it was through his Instagram live. That was like the only way to,
yeah. That Instagram live though, that was a whole lot of nothing. There was just talking, but there was like nothing behind it.
I think that he just wanted to get out there because the report came out from Shams, and then he just probably had to face the camera and say something before, words got put in his mouth and stuff like that. But I'm thinking about this from a Brooklyn Nets perspective now, because we know that Kyrie is not likely going to play. Steve Nash said as much. Steve Nash definitely sounds annoyed with the situation. KD's commented on the situation, like all this stuff. Harden says he hasn't spoken with him. That's interesting. But from a Nets perspective, does this really affect this team as much as you think it will, or is this something they'll be able to overcome because of their offseason additions, another year together, and what have you?
I still think they have to be one of the favorites because
Yeah.
I saw what they did in the finals last year, where you had, instead of having their 3 superstars, they had 1.5 of them basically. And they were, 6 inches away from making it to the finals. They were a KD. I was on the line away from going to the finals, so to me,
True.
I think they still have to be, one of the favorites. Now, mind you, they'd have a better chance if they had Kyrie, I think, but that doesn't seem to be in the cards for them, at least for the start of the season. And we'll see how long this goes on. And I mean, when it comes to Kyrie, this is a situation that I don't think he's going to budge. And I don't know, when the rules and laws of New York City are going to change.
Adam Silver thinks that they won't. He said that the city seems pretty stern and
they're not going to give him an exception
on that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but I mean, from that standpoint, I think that Harden doesn't want to talk about it because he doesn't want to make this into a bigger thing. He doesn't want to make it into a Ben Simmons situation.
Or a Harden situation.
Yeah, he doesn't want to make it to a situation like we already went through, you know what though? I look back at this whole thing and I'm like, man, it's just so weird from the standpoint that Kevin Durant left a franchise that people talk about being, kind of a gold standard franchise in the Golden State Warriors and how great they were because he wanted to pursue something different, which is his right. He was a free agent. He decided to go somewhere else. He went to the Brooklyn Nets. He didn't want to go there alone though. And the guy that he said he wanted to go with was Kyrie Irving. Of all the people, he wanted to go with Kyrie, which I think raised some eyebrows. And now you see how this is playing out. I'm not saying, I don't know what this does to their relationship or, what KD really thinks about this, but just from an outsider looking at it, it is kind of strange. But the Nets have done such a good job, I think, in shaping that roster that they still have to be one of the favorites because they have 2 of the top 10 players in the league.
Yeah. No, I would have to agree. And that's actually a perfect segue into our good old season predictions. Do you want to kind of just go down the line? Do you want to hit some things, piece by piece? How do you want to do this? Because I'm interested. I don't think we've ever done a season predictions thing before.
I've got an idea for how to do this. So
okay.
I'll let you pick though. Do you want to start with the East or the West?
Oh God. Mind you, it took me literally an hour to do the East yesterday because I could not. I did so much flip-flopping. It's so tough this year to pick the East. Like there are a lot of talented teams, and the offseason just made it even more difficult to pick out. Like, God,
you're stalling. Do you want to start the East or the West?
You pick.
No, you're going to pick.
Fine, East, because it's alphabetical order.
Okay, we'll start with the East. All right. 15 teams in the East. And as we know, there will be a play-in tournament again. So that means the top 10 teams will at least get play-in or be in the playoffs.
Brian's so excited to do this. He picked 15, all 15. I could only do the play off and play-in teams. I couldn't go 15 straight rankings.
You don't have
couldn't
to
do
rank.
it.
Okay, that's fine.
Couldn't do it.
Let's start this way, okay? Name the 5 teams in the Eastern Conference that you have not making the playoffs or the play-in tournament.
My 5 teams that are not making the play-in tournament are the Charlotte Hornets,
I have them too.
the Toronto Raptors,
I do not have them.
the Cleveland Cavaliers,
Yes.
the Detroit Pistons,
Yes.
and the Orlando Magic.
Correct. I have the Magic of being the worst record in the East. Maybe the worst record in the entire NBA.
It might be the worst in the NBA.
I have the Hornets, though, as the closest to making. I had them at 11. I have the Wizards at 12. Cavs 13, Pistons 14, Magic 15. There was a lot of going back and forth on this because I think we both like what the Wizards did this offseason.
I love what the Wizards did.
I do.
Love it.
And I want to put them in there, and I just had a hard time. So, okay. So we only differ on, you have the Raptors not making the playoffs. I have the Raptors in, but I have them in play-in. I have them at number 10.
Okay.
So now run down your top 10.
My top 10 from first to 10th.
Yes.
Drum roll, please.
See how different we are.
Very, very. Okay. Milwaukee Bucks 1.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn Nets 2.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Heat 3. Boston Celtics 4. Philadelphia 76ers 5. Chicago Bulls 6. Atlanta Hawks 7. Indiana Pacers 8. New York Knicks 9. Washington Wizards 10.
We're not too far off. I have Bucks, Nets. Who is your third?
Heat.
I have Hawks, Celtics 4, Heat 5, Sixers 6. At 7, Pacers, Knicks at 8, Bulls 9, Raptors 10.
Wow, Bulls in the play-in.
Yes, Bulls in the play-in.
All right. We had some differences there. You have the Hawks as the third best team in the East, and I have them in the play-in.
Wow.
I have them at 7.
The 7. I like what the Hawks have done last year. I think they're going to build on that.
I love what they did. I'm just going through this list and being like, there's a lot of good teams. Like
there are.
That's what I'm thinking to myself. A lot.
And there's not that much difference, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Between the 3 seed and the 7. I don't think there's going to be much. It's going to be tight. You know, I just think that what we've seen for Trae Young and what we've seen from that team, and now not having the difficulty that they had to overcome at the beginning of last season when it came to the whole coaching situation.
Oh,
they've got Nate McMillan there. They're steady going into this year. They've locked up some of their guys. I don't think there's really any drama there. They have a roster that's already worked together. I think that can get even better. And they've got movable parts. They have got pieces on that team that when the trade deadline comes, and if they need to make a move, they can make a move.
Same goes for the Celtics too, by the way. But
exactly.
Yeah. No, I would agree.
So we both agree with you had the Bucks first and the Nets second?
Yes.
Yes. And this is regular season records.
Correct. I didn't get like super in depth like usual. I didn't put records down.
I didn't.
And stuff like that. So I'll actually, for those who are curious, I will screenshot what I have on my screen and put it out there after we're done recording this podcast. How about that?
So, I mean, but I think we both agree, like Coach Bud is going to run those guys a little bit harder. I think KD and Harden are probably going to get a few nights off, different things like that. And I don't think the Nets are that worried about home court advantage. I don't really think the Bucks are too, but it's just kind of their mentality to where they're going to run hard, and try to lock up their record.
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but I just think that Giannis is going to have a monster year with no pressure.
There you go. I agree with that too. I agree. Now
we'll get to our other predictions after that.
But 3 you had
Miami.
Yep. See, I had them lower at 5.
I think that they got screwed by a COVID-riddled season. I think that Kyle Lowry is a huge difference maker. And I also think they weren't as bad as they were last year. I just don't.
I might have them a little bit low because I can sit there and say, like, okay, they need to pace a few guys. But you're talking about guys that don't want to be paced.
Dude,
Kyle
it was
Lowry
literally
and
a year.
Jimmy Butler
It
are
was
gonna.
literally a year ago that they were in the NBA Finals.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, those guys, when you talk about Lowry and Butler, I mean, is Spoelstra really going to go to them and say, guys, I'm going to curtail your minutes here for the next couple of weeks? They're going to be like, right. I don't think so. I don't think
Which
so.
makes them all the better fit to have a good regular season record.
Right. And I say that, but for some reason I still had them at 5. I mean, I believe in the infrastructure of the Hawks and what they're doing. So I put the Heat at 5, but the Celtics I had at 4. And
very much so.
And you had Celtics at 4 as well?
I did.
Yes. I just think finally that things have got to come together for the Celtics. They've got too much talent with their 2 young superstars.
New head coach Ime Udoka's been due for a coaching job for a long time now. He's been a very well respected assistant for a while. I think Jason Tatum has another level he's going to get to. He's actually a dark horse MVP candidate for me. Just a dark horse. I don't think he's going to win MVP, but I think that he's getting there. And then I'm curious to see what happens at point guard for them with Marcus Smart running the show. I'm really interested in that. I love them bringing back Al Horford just to have a familiar face. I think Josh Richardson's a good sneaky little wing pickup for him as well. I just like what they have going on. And I think that Dennis Schroeder can have a big year because one, there's nowhere to go but up. But two, I think that he thrives in that 6-man role. So I think that it's going to be a good fit for him, particularly, and for his production, similar to almost to what happened when he was in OKC.
Yeah, I think it's a better role. It's one that fits him a lot better, like you said. I think Horford being back on this team, and it's funny because we sit here and go, "Oh man, he's looked like an old man the last couple of years," but it sounds like he's moving around better. He's a little bit more motivated. He's in a situation where he knows he can win. That's familiar. So I like his fit there. Time Lord getting the extension in the offseason, and let's see if he can make the jump as well. That's going to be a big part to what they do. So, we're both kind of high in the Celtics now. So at 6, I had the Sixers, and I wanted to put them lower, but then it's just like, I mean, I don't know what they're going to get for Ben or when that's going to get taken care of and whatnot, but I just had a hard time with Joel Embiid and how good he is. And they've got enough talent on that team to where
plenty,
they've got plenty. And to put them at 6, I thought was dropping them enough.
Yeah, I mean, I have them at 5. I still love what they bring to the table with Joel Embiid. I think Tobias Harris is definitely a better 2-man than being the third option. I don't know. I like him a lot. I think Seth Curry's great. Tyrese Maxey have an opportunity to really step up. Danny Green's still Danny Green. Every other year, it seems that he plays to his capabilities as a 3-point shooter. At least he's always very, very active on both ends of the floor. But
there's lots of teams that would love to have Danny Green.
Everyone could use a Danny Green. I like their team. I do. I like their team. And just because there's a little bit of drama going in here, I don't think they're going to let it affect them because they were already carefree before all this started. Yeah. So it's like, not like it's hitting them out of nowhere, like it's something they know's been coming. So I don't see a huge drop off for them. And two, I'm not even mentioning, I think having someone like Drummond to back up Embiid, it's a good backup.
I don't know, but have you seen Andre Drummond so far this preseason? It looks like he ate Zion.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy, gets rebounds.
Oh, he is big.
He's a big guy.
He is proving that he is big.
Matisse Thybulle can show me some stuff this year.
That's where I want to see. I want to see Thybulle take step up, and we'll see what he does. Can he be more active, especially on the offensive end? Can his game progress there? Him and Maxey.
Got to get out in transition. That's all.
Yes,
that's all.
So
it'll take.
At 7, I had the Pacers, and I originally had them lower. But then I thought about it a little bit more. I thought about the problems that they had last year with the coaching staff and then bringing Rick Carlisle back. Carlisle's just too good of a coach, and they've got a lot of talent. And I think he can wrap his arms around everybody and kind of galvanize that team and get them back where they should be. So that's why I put them at 7. Because
I love
they
them.
were a team that had the play in originally, and I was just like, I had to rethink the Pacers. They were the one team I had to think about a little bit more.
Well, don't forget, I mean, these teams are still in the play-in, even technically speaking.
They are, but they were higher up. I mean, I had to put them
Yeah.
on the cusp of truly making it into the playoffs.
Right. No, so I had the Pacers at 8. But I think this is a good 8. I think this is a sneaky 8, honestly. Just because of what Domas brings to the table. I think that we're really going to see what Brogdon and him are capable of doing as a 1-2 punch. They've noticeably been running a lot of dribble handoffs out in the top of the perimeter, so keep an eye on that. I want to see, hopefully Karis LeVert can come back healthy and look like Karis LeVert.
See if he fits in a little bit better this year, because he did not fit in. He looked like he was playing a different game than everybody last year.
Getting traded mid-season's really tough on guys.
Yeah.
So I think having a training camp, at least, even if he hasn't been able to participate maybe as much or as hard as he would like to, will help. Don't forget TJ Warren's still there. He's hurt. He's going to probably miss a good chunk of the season, but he's still there.
I wish I'd love to see them, full strength to begin the season, because having those two guys, I mean, that's a big deal missing on those guys.
It is. And then you go and think about how many talented depth pieces they have at the wing. Like Jeremy Lamb's a really good, solid depth piece. Granted, he can stay healthy. Justin Holiday, I think, is one of the more consistent players in this league. I like what they have. I do. And that goes without mentioning, Miles Turner is going to be trying to play for something here this year with a new coach. Again, Rick Carlisle probably going to try to figure out the way to best play him with Sabonis and how to stagger their minutes and whatnot. So you bring up a good point, though. I mean, Rick Carlisle, not used to seeing a Rick Carlisle team lose. I think Lloyd Pierce being on that bench helps too, as an assistant coach. So I like him. I do. I like the Pacers a lot.
So at 8, I had the Knicks. And where you have the Knicks at?
9. So we're not too far off there.
So we both had them dropping. And I look at that team from last year and what a great story it was. But I do wonder, like, you get run into the ground at some point, when it comes to Tibbs. And I think the East is just so competitive that it's going to be tough. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's much of a difference really between like a 4 seed and a 9 seed in the East this coming season.
I know.
And
it's going to be a battle, man. It's going to be a battle.
It is. I just wonder, like, can they keep up that pace and playing, that hard every night? I mean, Tibbs was playing hard in the preseason, and he has said, like, that's what I do, man. And I mean, I love that mentality, but it's just like, at the same time, it's just like, you wonder what kind of effect that's going to have on players at some point. I know that they went out and they got Kemba, and, you look at the talent that he has, but he's still got the bad knee. I don't know how many games he's going to play. Hopefully he can be healthy and he can play, as much as possible. But even if he is on the court and even if he is healthy, he's still going to be a defensive liability. And that gets away from the identity of this team. And I think that is going to have an effect on them between his health and what he can do. And if he gets exploited defensively on this team, because if he's healthy, he's playing 25 minutes a night, if not more. I mean, it's not a guy that you're sitting there going, oh, we're only going to play him like 15 minutes. No, he's a major part of your team. So I just look at it from that standpoint. The guy that I'm most curious about, quite honestly, though, is I want to see how Randall rebounds from the playoffs, because we all talked about what a great coming out party it was from last season. And then the way that didn't, translate in the playoffs. So I want to see what he has done with his game, because he's a guy that's always going to play hard. But I want to see what he does in the regular season, coming off those playoffs where his mind's at. And then, I'd really like to see what happens come the playoffs next, this coming season. And if they make the playoffs of the playing game and see what he does differently.
Yeah, no. And I think the growth of RJ Barrett too is going kind of unnoticed. This is a real chance for him to show that he can be a number 2 or a number 3 guy, and perhaps develop into something more because he's really young still.
Same with Obi Toppin. And I'm curious to see,
Yeah.
does he get more minutes and where does he develop?
Yeah, and I mean they've got a ton of depth too. I quickly could be a sneaky 6 man of the year candidate along with Rose. Like you don't know the way that these rotations are going to shake out. Mitchell Robinson, which Moke Hamilton on basketballnews.com has written about, is somebody who's really trying to prove that he could stay healthy and be a contributor on a contending team like this. So it's really tough, man. I mean, I know that we're almost done with previewing our 10 here, but the East was impossible to pick, man. Like impossible. You said 4 to 9, 4 to 10 could be separated by like 5 to 6 games. Like it's,
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's really tough. So you at number 9,
I had the Knicks at number 9.
So at 8, you had the Bulls?
At 8, I had the Pacers. I had the Bulls 6, and then I had the Wizards 10. Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering where you had the Bulls there. I lost track. So you had the Bulls at 6, and I've got them at 9.
Nice.
There's just so many different
variations. No, yeah, there's a lot of variation. I let the preseason change my mind, damn it. Like I did. They just look like they're having fun. It looks like they're kind of playing with this carefree attitude as well.
Who's the starting point guard going to be?
I mean, I would assume it'd have to be Lonzo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be Lonzo, Zach, DeMar, right now, Javonte Green, and Nikola Vucevic. And you have Patrick Williams as the 4 when it's not Javonte Green. Alex Caruso coming off the bench, who already looks like will be a really solid piece.
I'm counting the days when he could be traded back to the Lakers.
Troy Brown Jr. Like I like the team, man. I do.
Yeah.
They were playing so up and down, like transition game. If they do that, and I'm also thinking to myself too, now that I have second thoughts, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And maybe my original opinion's right about too many like-minded, like skilled players. But Zach LaVine, he wants to get paid. He wants to get paid, and we know that he's going to be a part of this free agent class. So he's in a contract year, so to speak, and he wants to make a pretty penny.
He will be a free agent this coming offseason.
Exactly. So that's all the more motivation for him. DeMar DeRozan, hell, he has motivation because he just wants to get a damn ring.
I just wonder about
Vucevic. No, I do. I know. I understand that. I think Lonzo is going to be an amazing, perimeter defender for them. I think Javonte Green has shown his chops on that end already. I think Alex Caruso is going to be going after steals like crazy.
I want to see when Lonzo and Caruso are on the court together, because they're 2 guys that are defensive hawks. Now, mind you,
did they play together in LA, by the way?
They did.
Maybe a year. Maybe a year.
Yeah, but it was very, very early in their career.
Briefly.
So, it was Caruso might have still been a 2-way guy, so maybe they did. But just think of like trying to lock down backcourts. Lonzo's shooting is definitely will help that to where they can play together, because you would think, well, they can't shoot that well together, but Lonzo's become a much better 3-point shooter. But both of those guys don't look to shoot. They're both kind of pass first guys. So I'll be curious to see when those 2 guys are on the court together.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt.
I just wonder about defensively, and that's why I had them at 9. And
that's where my initial concern was that. Yeah. But if they play fast enough, they're going to be really potent offensively. Like,
so the last one is you had the Wizards at 10.
I did.
And I have the Raptors.
Okay. So I hate leaving the Raptors out of this conversation. I think they will be at the conversation. It could even come down to the last game for all we freaking know. Because, Raptors being at home, good vibes. Scotty Barnes looks like he already belongs. Just watching off preseason. Pascal Siakam's going to be coming back with a vengeance now that, there's no more distractions. Fred VanVleet. I think they do miss a vital leadership piece with Kyle Lowry, but I think that's the mantle that Fred VanVleet's going to take over.
You haven't even mentioned basketballnews.com's favorite player,
OG Anunoby. Yes. In line for a major production uptick, which is putting him in a lot of the most improved player conversations. I think that they're going to have a tremendously better season. I don't know if it results in what they want. A lot of these top 5 teams, these teams that pick in the top 5, end up back in the lottery the year after. It's just a fact. It's a fact. So we'll see how it goes. I think that the Wizards have the edge in this situation because of the experience that they bring to the table. And also, they have a new head coach, a little bit new blood. I think
they have the best player between the two teams.
They do. His name is Bradley Beal. And you have, Spencer Dinwiddie's trying to prove himself as well. I think you have, where they say hell hath no wrath, like a old player scorned, right? So something like that. I tried to screw with the phrase a little bit, but
you got that. I can't remember the Suns GM's name, so hey, whatever.
Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. These are guys that are going to want to play and show that they should not have been traded.
Oh, Montrezl Harrell definitely wants to play because he feels like he didn't play last year.
Hey, there's already a little war of words going. I'm sure that you have a calendar marked for the Wizards-Lakers game whenever the first one is between them.
Kyle Kuzma almost put a deposit down on a house in Sacramento before he figured out he was going to DC. I mean, come on.
Hey, Kuzma, big bounce back year for me as well. Like, I like what they got going. And I want to see what Denny Avdia is capable of doing after he comes back from injury. I think that they have some solid pieces there. Maybe it won't be all put together this year, but I think that they could certainly contend for a play-in spot.
I think they're going to be right there too. And I like what the Wizards did. We've talked about this before. The difference to me, there's a couple of things, but number one, the Wiz have been so bad for so long. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I got to see it before I believe it. And the other thing is too, I believe in Nick Nurse. And I just believe in what he can do as a coach. We've seen that before with the Raptors. We've seen it, and yes, they're missing that big piece with Kyle Lowry, in that leadership role. But I think that he loves his team and that he can get them to do things defensively that he wants. I think that there's a lot of interchangeable parts as well. And I just think it's a team that he's going to really enjoy coaching. So I believe in that a little bit more than the Wizards. And that's why I put them in and I wanted to put the Wizards in. I was looking for any way. And I just said, you know what? It's been so long, and I hope the Wizards can break through and get that streak out of the way, but I got to see it first. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I want to ask, well, one, I picked the Wizards because I actually think the defensive end of the floor is where they're going to come a little longer away because they have some wings now and they have a little bit of, a little resistance finally. A little tough, a little nasty about them, if you will.
You got Kuzma, who's become much better defensively. You got KCP, who's out there. So yeah, you definitely do.
Yeah, and not to mention too, you have Daniel Gafford, who just signed his extension yesterday, late evening.
Hachimura, who is improved so much defensively too. So
exactly, and no one even talks about Rui Hachimura. See, they've got plenty of depth. This is why I like this team.
They do.
And there's probably some Hornets fans that are angry at us because we're leaving them out of the picture.
We are, and they were tough as well because they were a team that, you sit there and you go, well, LaMelo Ball is going to be better. And, if they can be a little bit healthier this year, then they should be in. But I just think they're a player too short.
Player too short. That's pretty simple. Is that player particularly maybe Devontae Graham? No? Yes?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know. I like them going out and getting getting Kelly Oubre Jr. I think Mason Plumlee was a decent ad for them, a team that's, had a revolving door at the number 5 position. I mean, they're probably going to play PJ Washington there quite a bit, I would assume. But I still think they're a little young.
They are young too. And I mean,
Gordon Hayward does make a difference there, though.
Don't
get me wrong.
It's just he's got to stay healthy, obviously. They've got some different pieces. And I want to see what Book Knight does. He's a rookie, so you don't want to put too much on it, and you got Miles Bridges, but I still think they're a player too short. I wonder if they, even though they just gave him the extension, like where they're at when it comes January, and would they be willing to move Terry Rozier? Because I think that he is a guy that they could definitely get something for, and he would have value around the league.
I would love Terry to go to like
Boston,
the Clippers.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'm like, who could use a scorer?
Well, I said Boston.
I think Terry's going to have a great year, by the way.
I do too.
I think he's going to have a great year.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what he's bringing to the table. But I mean, so there's our 15. There's our East. The biggest difference we had, I think, was I had the Hawks 3rd. You had them
7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was probably our biggest difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you had the Bulls 9th, and I had them 6th. So that's pretty much the biggest differential there.
Let's go.
I was going to say we did not really buzz through the East, but that's okay. This is what we're here to do. We're here to preview the NBA season because that's what's going to happen here.
We can go a little bit quicker, but I mean,
I like this pace. I like this pace, though. I mean, and like, the game doesn't start for another 2.5 hours. I'm not going to be here for 2.5 hours, but I think we can take our good old time and enjoy what we're talking about here. So,
but I mean, these, like you said, that was tough to kind of figure out.
Tough, man.
There's not going to be much difference between it. So let's go to the West. Let's do the same drill. So we're going to have 5 teams. I won't even make the play-in tournament. Give me those 5 teams
that do not make the playoffs.
Correct. Or the play-in.
Okay, I'll try to do this in order as well. We'll try. Sacramento Kings.
Ding.
The San Antonio Spurs.
Ding. Oh, actually, I recant. Sacramento is a ding for me. I have them playing.
See, you already spoiled it. Okay, Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs.
Yep.
New Orleans Pelicans.
Yep.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yep.
Houston Rockets.
Yes. So the difference that we will have in our 5, you have the Timberwolves making the play-in tournament, and I have the Sacramento Kings.
We got a barn burner possibly happening there.
What a mess.
But
I mean, we agree. I mean, the Spurs, I think, are the team that people are going to look at and go, whoa, you don't even have them making the play-in, but
I still think they eclipse 30 wins. I do. Yeah. I said it on Evan's Nothing But Bets podcast earlier. There's just nothing about a pop team says to me, the tank, or and they're going to spend time on developing. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
I still think they have enough pieces to be competitive.
I do too. It's just, I don't know what to make of that roster.
Yeah. It's a fair question.
So, and the Pelicans are the other one too that stands out. And let's get into this right now.
No, boy.
I think the biggest question mark around the Pelicans is the health of one Zion Williamson, because we show up for media day and just like off the cuff, it's like, oh, by the way, Zion is recovering from foot surgery he had in the offseason. And you're like, wait, what? Like, this was kept under wraps. And then what's the talk is like, oh, we hope to have him, for the beginning of the season. And then, less than a week before the season, it's like, oh, I didn't mean at the start the season. I mean, at some point in the season or early in the season, because Zion's still recovering. He hasn't even started running yet, and he's having more scans on his foot. That for a guy that's already had plenty of lower body problems early on in his career, and then to hear this and to know how careful they want to be with him to make sure he gets back to full health, this is a massive red flag to know that he's not going to be there for the beginning of the season. Even when he is cleared, he is way out of shape right now, and he's not even running. You're talking about a guy that's 6'6", and he's probably close to 300 pounds right now. So I don't think we're going to see Zion even for the first month of the season.
Which will put him behind in the West, which is particularly probably why I have him here. Because I do like Brandon Ingram. I think Jonas Valanciunas being a part of that team too was a little kind of an underrated pickup for them. Devontae Graham can score. We know that. Trey Murphy's looked excellent in preseason, not missing threes at all. I like Najee Marshall. I like them, but they're in the West.
I don't think they have enough talent.
West.
They've screwed some things up. I mean, look at what they had to do just last season. So they went and they got Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe, which everybody questioned. And then they dumped them this offseason going, my bad, got to get them out of here. So they did that. They let Lonzo Ball just walk for nothing, for whatever reason, even though his teammates really liked him. They liked playing with him. But for whatever reason, they did not see him in the future of that franchise, so they just let him walk. I think that they are going to get off to a really bad start. I think it's going to be a really, really rough season. There's going to be a lot of talk about what's going to go on with this franchise going forward. And, every year we talk about who is a dark horse, under the radar star that could be traded during the season. And to me, that guy's Brandon Ingram. Because I look at this team and I'd want to have him there as a building block. I do wonder if there's going to be a part where they just say, we're so bad right now, we can get something for him. And maybe he's going to be frustrated. And I don't know if he's the kind of person that would say, get me the hell out of here. But I think if they're struggling, there's going to be a lot of teams circling them and saying, who can we pick off from this franchise? Who can we get right now that can help our team? And Brandon Ingram, to me, is a guy that really stands out that I think a lot of teams are going to look at if this team struggles for the first half of the season.
Spicy, Brian, spicy. Can we go down 1 to 10?
Do the 1 to 10. Give it to me.
Do the 1 to 10. All right. Number 1, the Utah Jazz. Number 2, the Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3, the Phoenix Suns. Number 4, the Golden State Warriors. Number 5, Denver Nuggets. Number 6, the Dallas Mavericks. Number 7, the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 8, the LA Clippers. Number 9, the Portland Trailblazers. And number 10, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You're going to love this.
Is it exact?
We are almost exact.
Oh, wow.
We are not that far apart. Quite honestly.
Okay.
Any teams that we have, I think, are only 1 apart.
Well, see, that makes sense, though. Because this is a good reason to do this exercise. We know how difficult the East was. That's why we're so different and far apart in the East. The West, I feel like you can pick a little bit. I don't know.
I have the Jazz number 1 as well, because I love the chemistry and bringing everybody back and whatnot. At 2, you have the Lakers. Mr. Laker fan over here does not have the Lakers at 2. Okay. I have the Phoenix Suns at 2. I have the Lakers at 3.
Okay.
4, I also have the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, wow.
Which I thought was really going to be a standout. And then you did the same thing. I also have the Nuggets at 5. I also have the Mavericks at 6. Here's our biggest difference.
Okay.
You have the Grizzlies at 7. I have them at 9. So
Okay.
play-in tournament. Mine are 7 Clippers, Blazers at 8, Grizzlies 9, Sacramento 10.
Ooh,
I'm going to come back to eat that Sacramento one.
dude.
That one's going to bite me. It was either them
You
or
know
the
me and
T-Wolves.
you know me and the Kings. You know me and the Kings. You know I love my Kings.
I know, but it came down to them or the Wolves, and you went to the Wolves, and
I went with the Wolves because I like Chris Finch. I like Chris Finch a lot.
too.
I
Trust
also
me.
like that they have Malik Beasley back. I think Malik Beasley's in for a huge year off the bench. D'Angelo, if he buys in, like Anthony Edwards, another season. Cat, with all the
Trust me, I'm already
gone through.
regretting this in my mind, but I've already said it, so I'm not going to take it back.
I know. And I love De'Aaron Fox. I think they need to figure out the Buddy Hield situation for goodness sake. Do I know if Luke Walton makes it through the year? I don't know. That might
he's
be
definitely on the hot seat.
That might be part of the reason that I didn't do it.
By the way, I know it's not a member of our website and everything. I'm going to give him a plug anyway. You want a spicy one? Steiny Mo, Mark Stein said, the guy to watch on the hot seat coaching wise in the Western Conference, Frank Vogel. He has said, with a roster like that come a lot of expectations.
David Fizdale's on that bench, right?
Yeah, but
I'm just trying to think of who's in line there.
Well, not Jason Kidd anymore, I'll tell you that.
I was gonna say I'm trying to think on who's on the bench for them now.
By the way, we have breaking news. Would you like to guess the starting lineup for the LA Lakers in their opener tonight against the Warriors?
Oh, geez.
As dumb as this
is Wayne Ellington the 2?
Considering that he's injured and out tonight, no.
I see that. I'm way off. My bad.
No, he is out. I believe Malik Monk is going to play though. The starting lineup will be, I think you can guess 3 of them.
Yeah, I think so.
Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis.
Okay.
At 2 guard will be Kent Bazemore.
Makes sense.
And the other person on the lineup will be another center because Anthony Davis is not starting at center. It'll be DeAndre.
It's DeAndre.
I told you that was going to happen. I told you that 2 weeks ago.
I thought Dwight would be starting.
No. They like him off the bench. They like, they like him punishing other teams off the bench. That's what they did when they had him before, and they're going to do it again.
They're playing a center against Golden State. Interesting.
That's the really interesting thing.
Interesting.
Too, because I think if Ariza had been healthy, they would not have done that. But they're banged up to start the season. Ariza's hurt. He's going to miss 2 months. Taylor Horton Tucker is going to miss at least a month.
That's who I should have guessed was going to be their guy.
So, and then Wayne Ellington is going to miss, a game, maybe 2. I think he's got, was it a hamstring injury or something? Malik Monk was dealing with a hamstring, but he's going to play, I believe. But yeah, they're a little bit dinged up. And Carmelo Anthony, I love that he got asked the other day, like, what do you expect on opening night? He goes, it's all going to come together. And he goes, probably not. But by the end of the season, we'll all be there. I was like, there's some brutal honesty right there, man. I was like, wow.
Well, shoot. I mean, it was breaking news, but let's go through the teams. And I mean, kind of go off of the Lakers. I think, like I said, I had them number 2, so we'll do this in opposite order. But just since we're already on the Lakers,
we both had the Jazz as number 1, and I think that's just a continuity, kind of a thing. Everybody's still there, the infrastructure, and
it is. Whatnot. And I think that bringing in the more depth for them as well. I love having the pieces that they brought in over the last couple years, honestly. Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson, I think, make for a great off the bench team. I think Bojan Bogdanovic is excellent. Mike Conley, when he's healthy, is really, really solid at organizing things. Donovan Mitchell, we still, haven't talked about Donovan Mitchell enough, I don't think.
I think he's in for a really, really big year.
And he's just really good at what he does. And then they bring in Rudy Gay. They bring Rudy Gay over there.
And he's going to play center
like
in some small ball lineups for them.
Yeah, I'm sure. And we'll see. Eric Paschall was a nice little sneaky pickup for depth. And one of Donovan Mitchell's best friends. And maybe we'll see a little bit of Jared Butler there off the bench too. Rookie that some people didn't think he was going to even play because of a heart condition. So like, I think that they kind of go unappreciated if that kind of goes with the theme a little bit.
Yeah. So number 2, you had Phoenix, and I
no.
You had the Lakers, and I had Phoenix.
Yes.
So and obviously we both like Phoenix a lot, and I know we talked about the Ayton situation. I don't think that's necessarily going to spill out onto the court or anything like that, but just to see what they were last year. Booker could take another step forward. I think Ayton could take another step forward. Having Bridges, there, and he gets locked up and everything that he can do, and obviously them, bringing back Chris Paul. If this team stays healthy, they're going to be right there at the top of the West. They're a major contender, and I just like them because of the chemistry and everybody coming back together. That's why I put them ahead of the Lakers when it came to regular season record.
Yeah, and Coach Monty too. Coach Monty's huge in all this, just tying everything together. They just have a really good synergy, I think is a good word to put theirs. And again, the depth that they have, Campaign coming off the bench, bringing in Landry Shamet. I think JaVale McGee was a huge pickup for them. In addition to what they already had with the continuity and their core growing together, I think that's a really good mix.
Yes. Now, when it comes to the Lakers, I just wonder, and I know that their schedule benefits them to start the season just because they play a lot of home games at the first half of the season. But I just look at them and say, man, there's just so many new parts and so much work to be done chemistry-wise. And I know I don't put too much stock in the preseason. They went 0-6 in the preseason. And that is what it is, okay?
They don't care about no damn preseason.
They don't. And you know what? There's 2 things the season comes down to. Number 1, obviously, health. If Anthony Davis had been healthy in the playoffs, we might be talking about the Lakers winning back-to-back championships, or at least them making the NBA Finals. They were a huge threat to Phoenix, and I'm not saying Phoenix didn't deserve it going to the finals, but there's a lot of question marks what would have happened if AD had stayed healthy. And obviously if LeBron had been healthier, because he was still nursing an injury too. But if they can stay healthy, that's going to be massive. And the other thing is what happens with their defense. This is a defensive team. We did not see any defense in the preseason. None. Zip. Zilch. There's none. So is this team going to buy in on Frank Vogel's schemes? Are they going to play hard on that end? Because the offense is what it is. I know people are going to pick them apart going, oh, they don't have enough shooting and they don't have enough this or they don't have that. They've won a championship already with having that problem. Yeah. But they were the best defensive team in the league. They were the best defensive team in the league last year, believe it or not. So they need to be a top 5 defense. And
if you're going to play the half-court game, you're going to need that.
It's going to be a lot of work to get there because you do have Russell Westbrook and what he's going to do. And then what's going to happen with some of these wings. I think the wings are a big, part of this. And then you've got THT, who they expect to be better defensively this year. He's out injured for the first month. You've got Trevor Ariza. He's out for the first 2 months of the season. They're expecting him to be a big defender on the wing. They lose Kyle Kuzma. They lose, KCP. So what's this team going to look like defensively? And I just think it's going to take a little while for them to get to that point. I still think they're going to be the 3rd best team in the West, but I think it's going to take a little while. And there's going to be a lot of headlines like, what's going on with the Lakers? Why are they only 500? It's going to be like when LeBron joined the Heat. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's going to be like that. And then we all get out of their system and the chemistry grows. And then they kind of, we see it play out on the court and they'll improve.
Okay. All right. I would love to kind of bookmark that just to see, like, when we get to January and the Lakers are like 13 and 15. Like I just want to see like have that Brian clip ready to go. Oh no, Lakers are 500.
Yeah, I mean that's the same thing that happened in Miami, I believe. Remember
Yeah.
when where were they 9-9 or something like that, and they thought that like LeBron pushed Spoelstra, like, oh my God, what's going on in Miami, and then things played out. Next thing you know, they were in the finals. So
Yeah.
but the talent's there. I mean, having a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis can overcome a lot.
Yeah, no, they can.
A lot.
It can.
So we both had the Warriors at 4.
Yes.
I
think there's good. I think there's good mojo surrounding that team. I think there's good mojo.
I thought I was being sneaky by putting them there, and then you did the same thing.
No, I think there's some real good mojo around that team. One, Steph, always an MVP candidate, but you look at the development of a Jordan Poole, right? You have Draymond Green still around and hopefully healthy. Saw that Draymond and Andrew Wiggins are already going to be on a minute restriction. That's a little interesting. Maybe there's something a little bit more there, but bringing back Andre Iguodala, just even as a vocal leader and someone in the locker room, I think is huge. Nemanja Bjelica, I think, as a stretcher of the floor. Otto Porter, who's out there to show that he still has plenty left in the tank and is on this prove it deal. I think there's real good mojo, and we're not even mentioning Klay Thompson, who's hopefully going to be coming back sometime in the next few months. There's good mojo for them, and I think that that and the development of James Wiseman, who's determined to be this big contributor at some point. I like what they have. JTA is one of the most underappreciated wings, I think, in the NBA, because he doesn't have the sexiest play, but he is somebody that gets the job done, almost a la a Royce O'Neal type or a Torrey Craig type. I think that's what JTE kind of brings to the table. Well,
Jordan Poole, I think, is just so big for this team, and seeing his development, because we saw him improve last year. And is that for real? Is he going to continue to progress? Are we going to see more steps forward from Jordan Poole? Because that's
my man brought out the gun in the preseason.
Yes, and then I think he's going to be. I think he's ready for it, and especially as we wait for Klay to come back, he is going to have such a big role. But then, what's his role going to be once Klay does return? And there's so many different questions about even when Klay is going to be back, because we've heard January, we've heard around Christmas. There's been some sneaky talk that maybe it could be Thanksgiving or something like that. I tend to think that's probably a little bit early. I think,
and they'll ease him in too. They'll ease him in. He's probably not going to be playing regular minutes probably until
10
like
to 15 minutes
January, late January, February-ish.
Probably.
So that's what I would say.
But I think we could see him around Christmas. But like you said, I think they will ease him in. But in the meantime, I think Poole is just going to have a big role with this team. And, you mentioned some other guys, when it comes to Bjelica and Porter, are they going to be, are they going to stay engaged, and are they going to stay in shape? Because that's been a couple of big things for them, especially with Porter. And he looks like he's in much better shape, and, if he's in shape and still hitting those corner threes, Bjelica, causing some mismatches out there. I mean, and this team plays the defense like they did last year, where they were a top 5 defense, built around Draymond Green, but everybody else is kind of out there hustling and doing.
Kevon Looney is a huge part of that too.
Yes. So, I mean, if they could do that, that's why I looked at them, and I think there is a lot of, kind of good vibes around that team. And that's why I had them 4th.
And that's funny that was a surprise too for you. Did you have the Nuggets 5th as well?
I did.
Okay. All right. Reasoning for me. Nikola Jokic is still, he's coming off of an MVP season. A lot's going to be asked of him. A lot's going to be asked of Michael Porter Jr. I think Aaron Gordon will also have the brunt of this load offensively for this team. But I still think they're a damn good club. I think that they're well coached. I think that The continuity helps. We'll see how quickly they get Jamal Murray back, but they showed last year that, even without Jamal Murray, they were able to be a very significant out. So I like them. I think the addition of Jeff Green is huge. I think bringing in someone of his caliber, especially off the bench and having that leadership type of player is huge. I think Will Barton is in for a production uptick because of the missing Jamal Murray. Love Monte Morris, somebody that doesn't turn the ball over, somebody who can be a maestro of an offense and at least get things running.
Mention your guy. Come on, mention your guy. Come on, Campazzo. Come on. Yeah. Mention your guy.
I love Facu. I love Facu, but man, those teams are not going to like when they're going against Facu and Bones Highland, because Bones was the talk of the town in the preseason. Just his infectious energy, the positive vibes, the way that he just carries himself and is such a good team player, impactful, a microwave scoring type. Really, really fun dude to follow. So keep an eye on Bones. We'll see like where Austin Rivers is too in this situation. PJ Dozier as well, huge part of this team. But I want to see if Bones can crack this rotation, more than expected before the preseason started, because Michael Malone's been talking up and up and up about this kid.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't even talked about Michael Porter Jr., who got his extension. We know he's a max guy, and kind of we've seen how good that he has been already. And can he take that next step? And part of that, I think, is going to be what he does defensively. Can Aaron Gordon fit in a little bit better? Like, we didn't see very much from him in the playoffs, but they've given him that extension. Where does he fit with this team? And a lot of this is going to be down to, when Jamal Murray comes back. And that's just such a huge question mark. And this is a team that, we both put at 5, but I don't know how you feel, but I mean, I could see them, as high as 3 or 2.
I can really see them as high as 3 as well. Yeah, no, yeah. I'm with you there.
And I do think that they are a team that you have to take as a serious threat to be, coming out of the West.
Mm-hmm. Oh, always. Never doubt a Michael Malone coach team in this situation. Yeah.
So we both had the Mavericks at 6.
Yep.
And I wanted to put them higher. And
I can't with the new coaching staff. I can't. I don't know. I don't know who outside of Luka and possibly KP is going to be able to take over a game or microwave score a game. I love Tim Hardaway Jr. I really do. And he had a tremendous playoffs and a really good showing too last season. But I don't know if that's sustainable. Do I know if Jalen Brunson's going to take that leap? I know that Reggie Bullock's going to help from a spacing standpoint and shooting threes and playing some solid defense. I did like that pickup. Don't get me wrong. I need to see it first before I believe.
Yeah.
And that too goes for KP, because KP had a decent preseason.
Right. That's what I think it's all about is can KP stay healthy, and is he going to fit with Luka? Because obviously they're not exactly best buds. It doesn't mean that, you don't have to be best friends or anything like that to, play well on the court. But I think there was, between all of the things that went on last year for KP being banged up, I just didn't think he'd fit very well. And they've got to find a way to make them fit where they can coexist on the court. And he has to buy into some of that. Hopefully he is healthier, because then we can see what he can do defensively and get back to like what we saw with him in the bubble, because he was a terror there. And that's when he's really good, and we didn't see any of that last year. And I think it's just because he's banged up. But the biggest wild card on this team is, like you said, is coaching. Jason Kidd is getting another opportunity. He's getting his 3rd chance in the league. And people are trying to say, like, well, he learned a lot from the Lakers situation, being on that bench with Frank Vogel and kind of taking a step back and reassessing a lot of things. And, he got a stamp of approval from Carlisle. So we'll see how he is going to be different. And are his players going to respond? When you have Luka, you have a chance, obviously. But I'm with you. I still think there's a lot of question marks talent-wise with this team and coaching-wise.
And secondly, too, man, I just there were some quotes that kind of took me the other way with Jason Kidd as far as
playing KP at the 4,
3-point shooting and a big man can always be on the floor, and I understand that thinking. I do. But not when you have the roster constructed the way that it is right now, where all the pieces you're playing off of Luka. Like,
Right.
I don't know, that you built a 3-point shooting team, just adapt to that personnel rather than to your own liking. Like that's a thing too about coaching that it's another talk for another day, but adapt to your talent. Just because you have your own philosophy and your own way of thinking the game doesn't mean that your roster thinks the same way or is adept to the same way that you think.
Yeah.
Always tailor your strategy to your talent.
So here's where we have a little bit of difference, but not huge. So at 7, I have the Clippers, you have the Grizzlies.
Yep.
I know that Kawhi is probably going to miss the entire season, or at least a huge chunk of it. I still kind of like what the Clippers have to offer when it comes to Paul George. Can he still be a massive superstar and everybody can kind of play off of him?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't think they're really contenders, but I don't think they're not going to be a top 4 team either, but I still think that they're a playoff team.
I do
and
too.
they're, a team that's definitely going to be in the play-in tournament.
Yep.
It's just, like I said, I think there's not going to be much difference between like a 7 and a 9, so we're talking maybe a difference of like 4 or 5 games at most, if even that. So they're right there. I mean, they still got, and, I want to see, are they going to be able to make some moves, when it comes to that roster and how they can build off of last season?
No, 100%. I don't think they'll make any like huge win now moves like during the season. I really don't.
I think that's coming in the off season once they get Kawhi back, and Kawhi,
yes.
He got his extension. So I mean,
yeah, oh yeah, he's taken care of.
They're locked up. So
this season for me with the Clippers, I think, is about the development of Terrence Mann. I've talked about it up and down on past podcasts. I think they're going to put a lot on his plate. Other than Paul George, obviously being the head of the snake. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, along with that, I think Terrence Mann's going to increase his production. Obviously, Reggie Jackson's going to have quite a bit on his mantle as well.
And can he play like he did last year in the playoffs?
Yeah, which is a tough ask. But I think he will reward their loyalty at least to him to give him that money.
And I think he has that freedom to do that a little bit more now with Patrick Beverley not there.
Yeah. And you have, Eric Bledsoe back into the fold. First time he's played there in years and years. Maybe that'll be a little bit familiar, territory for him. I want to see Serge Ibaka healthy. Love what Zubac brings to the table. I think picking up Justice Winslow, I'm interested to seeing him. Maybe he's going to be playing, secondary playmaker role, or maybe even primary playmaker role off the bench, and maybe having Bledsoe off the ball. Who knows? But I think that they'll have to prioritize too, developing some players, behind the scenes, specifically Brandon Boston Jr. I think he's got a world of talent. Keon Johnson from Tennessee, I think he's got a chance to be something special too. So,
do you think when it comes to the Clippers, there's a better chance that they're a top 6 team in the West or they miss the playoffs?
Top 6 team.
I'm going the other way. I'd say I think there's
miss entirely. Okay.
They miss entirely. Like not being a top 10. But I mean, you have Paul George, obviously, so I believe in that. But it's kind of a little bit of a high wire act there. I think the Clippers, when you're missing, like they depend so much on the 2 superstars.
They do.
Yeah,
they do. I'm a believer in Ty. Maybe it's my bias. I don't know.
Maybe. But you have the Grizz at 7. So you're big on Memphis this year.
I am. I think that a big MIP candidate for me is Jaren Jackson Jr. I think getting kind of tossed into the oblivion, coming back, and then boom, you got to play a playoff game, the most important game of the season. Like, there was just no way he was going to come back and just be himself. Like, he's got to work on the foul trouble. I understand that. But this dude can launch threes. He's like 7 foot. Really versatile defensively. really, I think he could build a really solid rapport with John Morant, similar to what we saw in Ja's rookie year. Like, I really like Jaren. I do. I like him a lot.
I do too. I
I
just want to see him healthy for a season and really see him and Ja put it together, for an extended period of time.
Yeah. And then, you couple that. I love, DeAnthony Melton be somebody that's really solid off the bench. We'll see if Kyle Anderson, if last season was a mirage or not. We'll see. But I still think he's a solid basketball player, even if he doesn't have the same production. He's always going to be somebody that's helping make plays for others. I think his jump shot is something that we need to keep an eye on to see whether last year was an anomaly or not, because he shot phenomenal. You know,
You want to see Steven Adams, throwing elbows?
Yeah, I do. I think Steven Adams, wherever he goes, is just a bundle of joy. A bundle of joy.
But Dylan Brooks and
we'll see what
Bain,
I say. Dylan Brooks, we'll see. Hopefully he can come back healthy and do his thing. But I'm thinking Xavier Tillman, Desmond Bain, these young guys who really showed out last year. I just like their team. I do. I like their team, and I'm curious to see whether or not Jarrett Culver gets some playing time. That's another thing too, because Jarrett Culver got cast aside. He got cast aside in Minnesota. So
yeah, he did. So, but I mean, we both have him in the play-in tournament. Now I have Blazers at 8. You have them at 9. So they're right there. Their roster is pretty much the same as we've seen before. They've got Larry Nance Jr., which I think is definitely going to help.
Love it.
And
good pick up for him. Good pick up for him.
Can they stay healthy? Can their bigs stay healthy? Quite honestly, but it's kind of the same old we've seen from them. And
I like Cody Zeller, by the way. I think Cody Zeller was a solid pickup for them. I mean, it's not earth-shattering stuff. I understand that,
right?
But
I think the whole NBA is kind of keeping their eye on this situation, because it's like, Damian Lillard kind of quietly behind the scenes. He didn't say it, publicly, but I think we all know that he told the team, like, let's make some moves and let's get better, or else we need to, do something about the situation with me being here. And I think he definitely wants to work out there. I don't think he wants to go anywhere, but I mean, the clock is ticking when it comes to his career, and he wants to win. And I think, everybody's kind of like circling Portland going, okay, let's see how they start. It's kind of the same old when it comes to this team, but what are you going to get out of Nurkic? What does Nance, make a difference to this team? I don't see much difference.
Can Norman Powell live up to the contract?
Right. You've got a new coach there as well. So, okay, show me what you got. If you're going to be different from what we've seen in the past, because if it's not, and we're seeing kind of a 500 below 500 team, then you have to wonder, does everything get turned up a little bit when it comes to the Dame situation?
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong there. I'm interested too to see how CJ McCollum is utilized, how that dynamic might change under Chauncey's, watch, see if there's any differences in scheme, Curious.
Let me ask you
but I do like the versatility and the switchability their team has with Larry Nance and Robert Covington, though. I do like that.
It sounds like so far that when it comes to the Sixers, they are holding out for Damian Lillard in a trade for Ben Simmons. Considering everything that has gone on, if Portland came to you right now and said, I know this has been thrown out there before, but we've got a package centered around CJ. If you're the Sixers, are you more interested in doing that now?
See, this is why I don't put me on the spot. I don't think so.
This is why I wanted to do it.
I don't think so. If I think it's Dame or bust. I think it's De'Aaron Fox or bust. I think it's a superstar or bust.
And by the way,
that's the indications that I'm getting.
It's a huge risk for the Blazers to do it too, because you bring in a Ben Simmons, and if it doesn't work immediately with Damian Lillard, and if Ben is acting a little bit strange, shall we say, if those personalities do not click, much less them on the court, Dame will go right to the front office and say, "Get me out of here."
Yep.
It's a big risk.
One misstep and it could be. Maybe that's why they didn't make a big move. They're just like, okay, maybe let's add around the edges a little. Let's add a little here, a little there.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't see like a big jump or a big drop when it comes to Portland. It's kind of the same old, same old.
Yeah, same old.
So I had the Grizzlies at 9. At 9, you have the Blazers. And then the other one that's different is you have the T-Wolves getting in at 10, and I have Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah. What, so who cares? It's number 10.
I think we leave that at that.
Wow. Do you want to get to some picks like for awards real quick?
Yeah, we'll buzz through some awards and then we'll call it a day. And I think that's okay. Under 2 hours. I think that we did that, consolidated that pretty well to talk about 20-ish teams. Sure. Like I think that was well done.
Let's go through the awards and then we can give our picks for the East, West, and who's going to be playing for a championship.
All right. Ready for this? I revealed these earlier, but if you did not listen to Nothing But Bets, you will now be finding out.
Here we go. Your MVP for the upcoming season?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I totally agree. He got dinged last season because he had won 2 in a row. And it was like people just didn't want to vote for him. Not that Jokic didn't deserve it, but I think too many people weren't paying attention to Giannis. And to see the step that he took in the playoffs and winning that championship, I mean, he's elite.
He's
elite,
young
and he's hungry.
And I mean, I've been duped before, but if that release on his jumper is as quick as it has been in the preseason, y'all are in trouble. Trouble. Counter moves and whatnot.
Defensive player of the year.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Wow. I have Draymond Green.
Okay.
Because if the Warriors are going to be as good as we think they are, it's going to be because of their defense. And he is the anchor of that defense.
My actual, kind of range of contenders here for this award. I think that Anthony Davis is someone I was looking at.
Anthony Davis has gone out of his way to more or less say that he wants to win it this year.
Yeah, I think that Rudy Gobert is always in that conversation.
You know who's not going to be there this year? Ben Simmons.
Yeah, depending. Bam Adebayo, someone else has mentioned that before. Drew Holiday, obviously in the conversation as a perimeter defender. I'd be hard pressed not to mention Marcus Smart in this situation too. I don't know if you can win DPOY over all these guys, but just saying.
Yeah. Sixth man of the year.
Dennis Schroeder.
Wow. Going with Schroeder, the revenge year.
Yep.
Didn't get his bag, and now he's coming back for blood.
There's quite a few again for this one. Particularly, I was thinking about Patty Mills real hard.
Well, that's the guy that I have, because I was going to do Jordan Clarkson, but the more that I thought about it, and considering Kyrie's lack of a role on this team, I decided to go with Patty Mills.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a little difficult. I was also thinking Montrezl Harrell.
No, I'm not even touching that. No way.
These are just things that go on through my head, bro. You gotta understand here. And I was even thinking Malik Beasley. Like I was thinking real outside of the box for this one, but then I was thinking to myself, most of these individual awards go to people and players who are a part of a team that are in the hunt at least, or in contending status at least.
Yeah. Well, like Jordan Clarkson was a guy I look at, but another one that I would look at, and this would be a bounce back year too, Tyler Hero.
Okay. I dig it. Yeah. I dig it.
So most improved player?
I went with the consensus of BBN here and went with OG Anunoby. Just thinking about it, I said the leap in production's there. The dependability is there. They're going to need a second, third scorer, like and OG's going to be that guy. And he's improved off the dribble. He's a better shooter, like legitimate defensive player. I think all the settings up are right there. Now, I will say that I talked highly of Jaren Jackson Jr. earlier. He is also on my list of contenders for this award. I think that DeAndre Hunter is somebody that needs to get some consideration for this as well. Just because if the Hawks are, what they say they are, and they're closer to Brian's 3rd seed range than my 7th seed range, DeAndre Hunter, he's really gotten better attacking at the rim. We know how good a defender he is. Solid shooter, just solid player overall, really. I really like him, and I think he could be a good sneaky part of that MIP conversation as well.
So I thought about going with Jordan Clarkson to win it again because he's going to get
MIP?
shots, and we know what his role is going to be. Or excuse me, I'm looking at 6 man. I apologize.
I was say Jordan Clarkson. Woo!
I apologize. I apologize. Most improved. No, I thought about going OG, like you said, but I put down a guy that we've already talked about a bunch, and that's Jordan Poole. Because once again, if the Warriors are going to be as good as we think they're going to be, they need somebody to, help, especially early on while they're waiting for Clay. And we saw Poole come on last year. We've seen him in the preseason so far. So I think that he's going to be a guy that's going to be in contention there.
Okay. And this award too is usually for like 3rd, 4th year guys.
Yeah.
I feel like it rarely happens from rookie to sophomore year. That one's really tough. Otherwise, maybe I consider, an Anthony Edwards. I think that Terrence Mann could be in the hunt for this too as well. A lot of people picking Michael Porter Jr. just because of the contract and for the weight that'll be on his shoulders too. But just things to kind of look out for. I think it might be a little too late for him to win this award, but I think Lonzo Ball could be in that conversation too.
I saw some people trying to pick Ja Morant, and I was like, wait, he's already like a star.
Yeah. I guess MIP goes into all-star voting and whatnot. So Kyle Kuzma too. Look out for that one.
Okay. Rookie of the year.
This one wasn't as hard for me. I picked Jalen Green.
Me too.
I did.
He's going to get every shot that he wants.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's him and Kevin Porter Jr. show, and maybe a little Christian Wood, right? Yeah. Like it's their show. Detroit, I feel like Cade Cunningham's going to get plenty of touches. I feel like he's going to have plenty of production. But they have some legitimate NBA talent on that team. And I don't know. I don't know if he's going to come out and average, 18 off the rip. I don't know.
I'll tell you the guy that I wanted to pick.
Scotty.
Scotty, I have as number 2.
I love Scotty. The preseason.
The guy I really wanted to pick, but I was like, they're just not going to be good enough. Is Jalen Suggs? Now, the Rockets are.
You wanted to go against. You wanted to go against the grain because he had a bad preseason and looked like the smart guy and say, "I told you so."
I did. Well, the Rockets aren't going to be any good either. But I still like Suggs as a player, but Green is just so dynamic. We know that scoring.
He's going to be putting up 16 to 17 shots a night.
Right. And, people are always going to look at, the scoring totals he has. He's going to put up some spectacular athletic plays. He's going to be getting tons of highlights. So, he's the guy that people are going to see, and he's going to be talked about a lot. So that's who I would go with. And then, so the last one is Coach of the Year.
Spo.
I have Nate McMillan.
Okay. And that goes along with your sheet, with having them as the 3rd seed. Absolutely.
Yes.
That just goes along with it.
And Nate probably would have gotten more talk last year if he had been coach for the entire year.
You know what makes sense? I think for this year, I think if the Nuggets, get to like top 4 status, I think Michael Malone could be in contention for this because of the situation that they're in. I think if Doc Rivers navigates the Sixers through this mess, that he's going to possibly be a contender for this.
I think if the Warriors finish where we think they're going to finish, that Steve Kerr
could be
will
in there.
be in this.
Yeah. Monty, arguably got snubbed last year from Tibbs. He was in that conversation too. There's quite a few good coaches. So,
by the way, Cade Cunningham will miss the Pistons opener with an ankle injury.
And so it begins.
All right. So here it is. Who will be playing for the championship this year? Who will be playing in the NBA Finals? And who do you have winning it all?
I hate being the consensus guy. You know me. I love to go against the grain. I love to be, not to the degree of one Kyrie Irving, but I love to be a contrarian.
Do you want to be different or do you want to be right?
I couldn't this year. Eastern Conference Finals, I have the Nets over the Bucks. Western Conference Finals, I have the Lakers over the Jazz. The NBA champions of 2022, I have as the Brooklyn Nets.
Wow. I didn't even pick who was going to be playing for the conference, finals, but
I did a Final Four.
Yeah. So I had coming out of the West, your Los Angeles Lakers.
You're
welcome. I knew I'd get you on that. Out of the East, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. And winning it all, I have the Milwaukee Bucks.
Wow, a repeat.
Back to back.
A repeat.
I believe too much in Giannis. He is just an overwhelming force that's just now hitting his peak. This guy is not someone who is content. This is a guy that is still hungry. This is a guy that even in the playoffs last year, when they were down, he figured it out. He figured it out twice. He figured it out against Brooklyn in the conference finals, and he figured it out in the NBA finals against the Suns, even with an injury, even when he had to carry his team, he found a way. And I mean, it just goes to show just how talented and how driven he is. And I don't think he's a guy that's just going to rest on his laurels. I think he's gotten a taste of it now and he wants more. And I think that's what we're going to see.
No, that's fair. And I think he's going to go scorched earth this year as well. Like I said, when you're playing with no pressure, and you have pretty much nothing to lose at this point, and you're as young as he is, and there's people questioning that championship and the validity and the legitimacy of that championship. Yeah, I think that he's still out to prove something.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I hope I'm wrong and the Lakers win the championship. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's get number 18.
Oh, man. You know what, Brian? The journey starts tonight. It starts tonight. The season starts tonight.
Austin Reeves, here we go.
Hillbilly Kobe is coming for that.
He's going to
number one spot. I'm interested. I'm interested to see this.
He's going to be in the rotation.
I'm interested in this. We're almost at about 6 p.m. now, so I think that's a good time to shut down about 90 minutes before the first game of the NBA regular season, as others call it, the 6th month preseason. But this has been a blast today. I've really enjoyed this. Somehow we have gone almost 2 hours and have not yawned. So this is good. We were engaging today. I think it was a fun time. Talked about a lot of stuff in depth. Definitely made up for the last week that we missed. So with that said, I'd love for you guys to go visit basketballnews.com. We've got an entire podcast network for you to check out. Articles, predictions, roundtables, features, analysis, all the good stuff on basketballnews.com. And once again, Keepin It 94 is a part of the basketballnews.com podcast network. Other shows that you can listen to, the Rex Chapman Show. We've got Dishes and Dimes, the rematch with Aton Thomas, the Dunker Spot with Nikias Duncan and Steve Jones Jr., the Alex Kennedy Podcast, the Follow Through with Clips and Drew, NBA Top Shot Weekly, and the newest Nothing But Bets podcast with Evan Sidery. So make sure to check those out. like, subscribe, review, rate, comment, do all the good stuff for that. Do the same for us so we can continue to grow this thing and grow this network. Because basketball news, we're having a great time over at the website. We've been up for a little over a year now. So make sure you go visit us there. Download our app. We send out notifications every day from all of our best stories and the news to keep you up to date on everything NBA. With that said, I am on Twitter at Spin Davies. Brian is on Twitter at Brian Fritz. I am on Instagram at Spin Davies. He is on Instagram at It's Brian Fritz. Give us a follow there. Engage with us. Talk to us. We would love to get any other advices, comments, all that stuff for the podcast when we do our next episode. So thanks for listening, guys. I've had a blast, Brian. I hope that your Lakers can come through for you tonight. We'll see what happens. I will be on Daily Fantasy Sports doing a lot of that this year because I lose too much money in football. So with that said, for Brian Fritz, I'm Spencer Davies. This was Keepin It 94 Live. Everybody have a great night and enjoy the NBA action.